let's start off with the quarterback position. Obviously, there were some very interesting circumstances in this particular game, and that we're going to get into. But we knew going into this game that the passing game was going to have to come alive if we had any chance in this game. We knew that the Jets weren't going to allow us to run the football. They were in our backfield. The last time we played them in this game, they were all over our backfield. We couldn't get anything going on the ground. So we knew that we're going to have to pass the football. Our passing game has been non-existent. They haven't proved that they could pass the football without the success of the running game this year. They haven't proved that at all, and Todd Bowles was going to dare us to do it in this game. And we finally did it. I mean, this was the best we've seen the passing game by far all year. It's not even close. Obviously, throwing for 4 touchdowns it's the best it's looked. When I thought Jay Cutler was in there, I thought he did a good job. To mix the play calling in here, I thought the play calling was fantastic in the entire game. Adam Gase really challenged the secondary of the Jets. Even when Jay Cutler was in there, we took our shots downfield. Perfect example of that. We had a matchup outside with Kenny Stills and Buster Screen that we liked the entire game. We really took advantage of that. Threw it deep to him. Hopefully he went up and made the play. He obviously did. And that's something we haven't done all year, is throw the football down the field and let our playmakers make plays. Our receiver corps is so talented. And it really makes you scratch your head why we haven't been more aggressive down the football field. And this was the first game that we did that on a consistent basis, and we did that on a regular basis. And it worked, obviously. So, again, I thought Adam did a tremendous job of calling this game, just to mix some of that in there. But the quarterbacks, both quarterbacks, I thought performed very well. Jay Cutler throwing for 2 touchdowns. Again, nicely on those 2 touchdowns. Beautifully drawn up plays. Great pick play to Anthony Fasano in the end zone. And then obviously a hard play action, fake, and then finding Jarvis Landry at the back of the end zone. Again, I thought the quarterbacks played well overall. They knew that they were going to face a lot of pressure in this game. We're facing a very good front seven with Leonard Williams and Muhammad Wilkerson. Darren Lee is a very good blitzing linebacker. He's one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL. So we knew that we were going to face an athletic front that gets after the quarterback. Very young. Obviously, they're young on the back end with Marcus May and Jamal Adams. So they have talent on the defensive side of the football, and they're very, very good. And obviously Todd Bowles loves sending pressure. Quarterbacks have a tough task in this game. There's going to be a lot of times where they're going to have to throw to spots and stuff of that nature. But again, I thought Jay Cutler did a fine job when he was in. But you cannot deny when Matt Moore came into the game that that was the best the passing games looked. If you have to sit there. I mean, if you look at it, I don't care if you like Jay Cutler and you don't like Matt Moore. If you like Matt Moore and you don't like Jay Cutler. If you're a fan and you sat back and watched the game, even though Jay Cutler had a fine game before he obviously left the game with broken ribs, even though he had a fine game, when Matt Moore came in, the offense looked better. That was the best the passing games looked all year. And I don't think you can deny that. Adam's going to have a tough decision to make. Now, whether Jay Cutler would have made those same throws when he was in the game or not, because he was getting the same looks all game. Those were the same looks that, Matt saw, and those were the same looks that Jay saw. Same defense. I mean, they did the same thing the entire game. We were just able to really get going when Matt... Now, is it a coincidence or not? I have no idea. All I know is that when Matt Moore was in, the passing game looked the best it's been all year. And obviously last year, Matt Moore did similar things against the Jets. When they blitzed him with zero-man coverage, he was very good at getting the ball out of his hands, and especially with his deep ball accuracy. He's always been good at that, and letting his playmakers go up and get the football. And he did the same thing in this game. Did a tremendous job. So again, you can't deny that Matt Moore had that. When Matt Moore was in at quarterback, that's the best the passing game has looked all year. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm going to say that Jay probably misses the Ravens game. I think that's actually been confirmed. I don't know how many more games he's going to miss. Obviously, that's going to be a long week before we play our next game after the Thursday night game. So he has time to heal after the Ravens game. It's going to be very interesting to see what Adam Gase does. If Matt Moore goes on the road in Baltimore and beats the Ravens, that's a very tough decision to make if you're Adam. I mean, I guess it's a very tough decision to make. And I know some fans would say, well, if he does that, then why isn't he going to start? But knowing Adam... And obviously he said Jay Cutler is our quarterback for the rest of the year, no matter what. I would not be surprised if Jay Cutler came back and was the starting quarterback. But you cannot deny, like I said, when Matt Moore came in, the pass game looked the best it has all year. All right, let's talk about the offense as a whole. Obviously, this was the best performance from our receiver corps. Obviously, Kenny Stills and Jarvis Landry were the 2 top playmakers in this game, but obviously Anthony Fasano made plays. Julius Thomas made plays. That sick one-handed snag out of the air. I mean, that was insane. So there were other players getting involved in the pass game deep down the football field. When you think about Leonte Carew, who caught a deep pass over the middle, that's not the only way he affected the football game. He was very good at executing pick plays today. So the playmakers in the passing game, not only did they execute the little things, which they haven't really done all year, but they were very active deep down the football field, making plays in the middle of the field, making plays all over the place. And not only did Jarvis Landry get involved, not only did Kenny Stills get involved, but you saw Leonte Carew, and you saw Julius Thomas, and you saw Anthony Fasano. So it was really nice to see all of those guys get involved. Damian Williams caught a clutch third down in that game out of the backfield on a wheel route. I think that was the first drive of the game. So a lot of players got involved in this game. We were very aggressive, which we have not seen from this past game all season long. Had a really nice game plan going into this game. He was super aggressive. Like I said, I mean, really getting our playmakers involved, taking shots early on in this game. We weren't going to dink and dunk. We weren't going to screen. We weren't going to do some of those things. We weren't going to keep the pass game in front of us. We really were taking our shots downfield and allowing our playmakers to make plays, which, again, we haven't seen all year. I know I've said that a lot, but it was really nice to see us air out the football. And not just a streak or a go or a deep post. We saw, everything in the middle of the field. We really attacked the middle. On the outside, we were really aggressive as well. So it was nice to see an all-around cohesive passing game for the first time all season long. So again, the passing game was beautiful today. Even when Jay Cutler was in, we were making plays. Obviously, there were a few plays here and there that, obviously we would love to have back. The batted pass by Jamal Adams. That really sucked, and Muhammad Wilkerson picked it off. There were some up and downs, but by far this was the best the passing game has looked. Now, obviously, the negative was, which I don't really think is a negative. It's a division thing. It's a matchup thing. When you talk about the Jets, last year we couldn't run the football on them. It was a very, very tough task last year, and this year really it's been the same. Leonard and Muhammad are very, very good players. Very, very good players, and they're very tough to run on. And obviously Steve McClendon has been a very good player for them all year. It wasn't just us. They've done it to every football team they've played. So I think it was more of a matchup thing. The Jets are just really good at stuffing the run than anything else. So I'm not going to be too hard on our running offense, but again, obviously there's some things left to be desired there. Obviously we dealt with some injuries. Laramie Tunsil went out. Jesse Davis came in at tackle there. I thought he did a fine job at tackle. Wasn't a perfect day on offense, but we knew we couldn't run the football going into this game against the Jets. It's just a bad matchup. But for the offense for the passing game to carry the offense to a victory is a great sign for us as a football team, because we know what the defense is capable of. And the offense just went out there and did something that they haven't been able to do all year. And the play calling was pitch perfect in this game. Our game plan was exactly what we needed to do. We were aggressive. We were throwing the ball on first down. We weren't trying to run. We weren't banging our head against the wall in terms of the running game. It was perfect. It was perfect. Adam did a perfect job calling the game. One thing that I've really noticed differently from this year than last year that we didn't do well, we really didn't get Jarvis Landry involved in the red zone as much. This year, if it wasn't for missed throws and poor execution, Jarvis Landry would have like 7 touchdown passes or 7 touchdown catches. If you think it, maybe 6. There's been a lot of times we missed him wide open in the end zone. The last time we played the Jets, we missed him twice in the end zone. Jarvis is really getting more involved in the red zone. Which is great for us, and he's been very successful at it. Obviously, when you think of the Atlanta game, he's just been more involved in the red zone game plan, which I love, because he's obviously a ball hawk and he'll go up and get it. So that's something that we really haven't seen in Jarvis's career. That's the one gripe that everybody has with him, is he just doesn't put the ball in the paint. This year, again, if it wasn't for poor execution, he'd have a ton of touchdown passes. So there's a lot of things to like when you talk about the offense going forward. I think, again, the running game, this was a matchup issue more than it was anything. It was just amazing to see the passing game be this aggressive and with this much success. With us being banged up, we knew that even if we lost Devontae Parker, we still have a ton of talent across the board. So it was nice to see how good we are as a passing offense against the Jets team that's a very feisty, physical team. Now, obviously, their strength is not in their corner room. They have 2 very good safeties, though, in Jamal Adams and Marcus May. For rookies, they've been playing very well. Marcus May's been a ball. This was the second pick that he's had all year. Jamal Adams has just been all around a solid safety. He's been one of the best rookies of his class. So they have a good safety room. Their corners not so much, but it was good to see us take advantage of that. Finally take advantage of that. So hopefully we can keep that going for the rest of the year. Like I said, the only negative was it was more of a matchup thing, and it's nice to see Jarvis Landry getting more involved in the red zone. That's something that we've improved on from a year ago. All right, let's talk about the defense. Now, obviously, we highlight the quarterback position on offense, and we always highlight one particular player on defense. So for this week, I'm highlighting Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain, by far, deserves some kind of... I don't know if people forget or they forget their hate for Bobby McCain, but you think about the first 2 years of Bobby's career and the struggles that he had. Even last year in 2016, where he got a lot of snaps because of injuries, Bobby really struggled. And this year, it's really turned on for him. Obviously, he's really been the sole slot corner. That's basically what he's done the entire year, and he's done such a good job at it. That was one of the biggest issues going into this year, or into this season in general, was who was the slot corner going to be. Nobody wanted Bobby, no fan, and you can say differently now, but don't be a flip-flopper on this one. Most of you guys didn't want to see Bobby McCain in the slot corner position. You wanted to see either Alteron Werner or Michael Thomas. And Bobby has really turned it around. Really has. He's having a fantastic year. I think he should be in contention, or at least nominated for Comeback Player of the Year, because he's really having a solid season. And he's been just tremendous. Obviously, perfect execution. We knew that the Jets love those little out routes on the sideline. Perfect execution of the zone, which we've struggled with, of executing zone since Vance was here, and then obviously now Matt. We've kind of struggled a little bit. We've definitely tightened that up since the first couple of weeks of the season. We've tightened that up. Communication has been way better, but tremendous job of Bobby McCain knowing what to do on that particular play, jumping there out, picking it off, and obviously sealing the victory for us. So Bobby needs recognition. He's one of the best slot corners in the league right now, maybe the best. Statistically, I think he's probably the best. I would have to go back and look at it. But Bobby needs some serious props. He hasn't gotten any all year from anybody, and to really turn his career around the way he has, he deserves all the accolades he can get, because he's been a totally different player this year. All right, let's talk about the defense as a unit. Now, did we execute some of the things that I said we needed to execute in this game as a defense? Not really. Obviously, we gave up big plays to Robbie Anderson. That was one of my bigger things. We have to do a good job of coverage on Robbie Anderson. We really didn't do that early on. And obviously, Jermaine Kearse went off for a touchdown as well for that, that first drive. Open field tackling was a big thing for me going into this game. We really didn't do that well. Obviously, Matt Forte on that 3rd and 19 was just a crusher for us, man. Just a crusher, and that should not happen with how well the defense is and how talented they are and how well they've played all year. That just shouldn't happen. That's just a big boneheaded play by us. And we really did a terrible job in the screen game all game. The Jets, for the first screen, I was like, okay, that was cute. That was a really well executed play. Faking one way, going back to blow Powell on the very first play. Really well drawn up play. Really well executed by the Jets. Then for it to happen to us like a million more times, just unacceptable. The one to Stoneburner or Tomlinson, can't remember his name right now. His name's escaping me. Their tight end that got him down to the 20-yard line. That was a huge gain. Obviously the one to Matt Forte. That was not the only one. There's multiple ones that game. So we did a terrible job of open field tackling, and obviously the secondary did not do a good job early on. So those are some of the negatives. Our defense got faked out so many times on screens, and we did obviously a terrible job of open field tackling. But other than that, the defense played tremendous football down the stretch of this game. Just to stick somewhat to some of the negatives, obviously Cordrea Tankersley had his worst game of his career. Obviously giving up 2 touchdowns. One may have not. The second one to Robbie Anderson, I don't know. I would have to go back and look at it, but there was definitely some kind of miscommunication on that play. Rashad, I think Cordrea thought that he had help over the top. Rashad obviously was nowhere to be found, and Robbie Anderson scored a easy skinny post touchdown in the end zone. But Cordrea, early on he gave up the touchdown to Jermaine Kearse and to Robbie Anderson. Really did a great job of not, any other rookie would have been, keep his head down, confidence would have been totally gone. But Cordrea really kept at it. And for all the negatives, he did a tremendous job of bouncing back. He did a great job. So I thought the secondary, some of the negatives, the open field tackling was just not great, and everything that I said before. But other than that, the defense played really, really, really good football at the end of that game. You talk about the pass rush. There was one play, which I thought was the funniest play all year on defense, and it really exemplifies the talent on this defense, the defensive line. When Sue, Wake, I think Branch, and I know Charles Harris was there. Branch, well, no, excuse me, that wouldn't make any sense. It was Sue, Wake. Maybe Branch was on the field at the time. I can't remember. I think it was Sue, Wake, and Charles Harris. I know for sure were on the same play, and they all met at the quarterback. So, I mean, what a perfect... I mean, take a picture of that play, and that is just a perfect way to describe how talented is the defensive line of all three of those guys, meeting at the quarterback. But the D-line, I thought had another really nice game in the past game again. I thought we really tightened... as the game went along, we really were good in the middle of the football field in coverage. Jeremy Curley made some plays here and there, but we really cleaned some of those things up and tightened the coverage as the game went along. If it wasn't for the offense throwing that pick to Muhammad Wilkerson, the Jets would have, I think, had 21 points. That's still not great, but it's not as bad as 28, obviously. So I thought the defense is still, for all their faults earlier on in that game, they didn't get off to a fast start. Open field tackling was terrible. All that other stuff. Some of the assignments we really missed in our linebacker unit. Some assignments were missed, even though the linebackers played pretty well for the rest of the game. You think about, talk about Ray. They all made plays. Lawrence had that huge play on that toss play. We lost contain a couple times in this game. One of the things I'm really worried about is this is a copycat league. We know this is a copycat league in the NFL. If somebody does something, nobody's been able to run on us except the Falcons. They didn't run on us. But they got a couple big plays here and there in the running game. The running on us is not the term I want to use there. But when somebody sees that you can't stop something, obviously that's going to be spammed for the rest of the year. And God knows that we're going to see so many tight end screens against the Ravens. It's going to be unbelievable. But what I'm worried about is, are people going to start to really attack the outside of our defense? Now, we're a super fast defense, athletic. But the last couple of weeks, we saw the Falcons really get a huge play on a toss to Devontae Freeman that almost went for a touchdown if it wasn't for Rashad Jones' effort. Then Tevin Coleman took a big one on a toss play too. And then now this week, there's a lot of big outside runs by Bilal Powell and Matt Forte as well. They really were attacking the outside with their tight end blocking on the outside, really stretching the defense. So it's going to be interesting to see is that our Achilles heel as a running defense. Maybe we clean some of those things up. Maybe Matt Berg notices, changes some things schematically. Maybe it's a schematic issue. I think it's more a schematic issue than anything. But it's going to be interesting to see if we can't clean some of those things up, because we did a bad job in this game on outside running plays. We didn't do a great job last game either against the Falcons. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the year. But again, the defense played tremendous football for the rest of the game. I mean, you talk about that fourth quarter, they owned the Jets for the second half. They gave up that touchdown. I think they gave up one touchdown in the second half. I think they only gave up one. That was to Austin Seferian-Jenkins in the back of the end zone. And I don't know how Josh McCown's running around, but again, some of the negatives. It's going to be interesting to see that outside containment on running plays. I really felt like the linebackers lost some of their assignments in the defense, but again, the defense played really well down the stretch of that game. But those are some of the things that I saw throughout the game. It's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the year. But I think overall, the defense played really well down the stretch of the game. They didn't get off to a fast start. All the things that we talked about before were not great. But they did finish the game strong, which was a great thing. Obviously, when momentum was on our side, the defense really kicked it up a notch, and they really started feeding off of that momentum and playing with emotion. What do you guys think? Obviously, what is your biggest concern for the rest of the year? Did you see an Achilles heel on this defense? What did you see that you didn't like? I thought, me personally, this win meant so much. I hate the Jets so much. Years and years of the Jets, bad losses to the Jets. Didn't want to take another one this year, and this was a great win. This was a great team win. This is the best win we've had in some time. This was a playoff game. When you talk about what the AFC East looks right now, nobody really thought the Jets were going to be this good. But for our team to come back in this game, if we lose this game, that's a huge loss. Huge loss. Obviously, divisionally, we already lost to the Jets. To get swept by them, that's not great. Especially if the Jets continue to have success. So this was a great game. I mean, this was like I said, a playoff game. We needed to get 2 games above 500. Another divisional loss to the Jets, another AFC East loss would have been terrible if we had a tiebreaker with the Bills and obviously the Pats to get into the playoffs or win the division. Who knows? But this was a huge game. Obviously, the Bills already beat the Jets. The Patriots already beat the Jets. If we got swept by the Jets, that's not good for seeding. So huge win by us. It was the Jets. Obviously, we all hate the Jets. It was at Hard Rock Stadium. The place was rocking. It was great. The passing game finally is on track. The defense still looks dominant, and Bobby McCain's having, a great year. This was a great team win. by our football team. I'm SkyX1083. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.